he says he's going to be, or Procter & Gamble is going to be really surprised. They're in for a culture shock because they have Tide soap, which makes clothes a lot whiter. It has Dawn, which takes the grease away from dishes. They have Bounce, or one of those Downy that makes fabrics nice. And those are things you can see. But the cosmetic, or the benefits in cosmetics, are psychic rather than rational. Think about that. They're in your mind. They're not in reality. On it. It says, in terms of ingredients and formulation, there's little difference between one brand and another. And the product, the benefit to the consumer is how it makes her feel about herself. That was the end of it. Because the biological efficacy hasn't been there in skincare products. And if it is now, it's so mild. I see things I'm making with elaborate statements and that, but you know what? Our skin gets older and older, doesn't it? With it. And if you look at this thing, where you have, look at all the advertising. And so you have these beautiful 19 and 20-year-old models advertising a wrinkle cream from one of the big major companies, one that sells $300-400 for a month's supply. And I analyzed one of them that was in that price range, cost 87 cents to make it. 87 cents and sold for $3.40. And that isn't an exception, that is typical. Same thing as one of the problems we're having here with prescription drugs. They cost little to make, and they do whatever they think the market will bear, and we're the ones that bear it. Well, the difference between the little bit that they put in their products and the selling price of it, we can cut the selling price right down. And because we manufacture, we can increase the amount of products, and we're still, our ingredients, and we're still at the same price. So it allows us to do things that others can't because they're following a business model. My business model is this: I'm doing everything within my power to make your life much better. Everything I can do for it, make you healthier, happier, financially more security and prosperity. All of those things are our goal, and to do it with integrity. Now, the problem is you're in a world where it's flim-flam scam, and then you come in and talk to someone about something like the age pill. It's the immortality pill. And people, oh yeah, I've heard that before, ancient Chinese medicine, this type of thing. And they have all these longevity products, and yet everybody taking them is looking older, getting older. I mean, you take a look at these 20-year models are there that have been using a big brand name product, and they've only been using it for a while, but they are wrinkle free. You'll have to admit that. However, bring their grandmas on and put them on stage, the ones that have used the product for 50 years, and they'll have more lines on their face than a Rand McNally roadmap. And that's the kind of things you have with products. They're overhyped, they underperform, and then we all know about the toxic problem, pollution from toxins. In fact, for the first time in recorded history, for at least modern history, the average lifespan has gone down now 4 consecutive years in a row. And so how can it go down 4 years in a row when medicine and technology is becoming so much more advanced? And it's because most medicine isn't for treating symptoms, not for treating setting a cure. And with that, with the toxic overload we get in our environment, yeah, you're getting a toxic overload. You can smell it in the air from what's burning, from eucalyptus trees and everything else. 1 billion animals dead, if you can believe it. But the airborne toxins are harmful. We get them in our skin every day because our skin doesn't use oxygen from lungs, it takes it from the outside. So with that comes in the environmental toxins that go into, those are small molecules, so that means they can go anywhere. And since skin is taking in oxygen and respiring off carbon dioxide, you accumulate the toxins. The toxins are usually fat loving. And because of that, women are much more vulnerable, not because they're more fat, but because they have an extra layer of fat that men don't have. It's what keeps their skin softer. And so they have that dual layer for it. And it's insulatory also. So that might have been some of the environmental reasons behind it. But it's those things store in the fat. And when they store in the fat, then they just keep accumulating because they're lipophilic or fat loving, and the molecules stay there. But the molecules are not inert. They're active, and they're active in causing cancer, in disrupting the endocrine system, in creating all kinds of diseases and the like. Now, those just aren't toxins from the air that our skin's breathing. We get many more from the products. Fact is, if you take air, water, and food, and you put toxins that they contribute to our body every day, our personal care products contribute about twice as many as that does. They don't even begin to reach that. So now we're talking about a thing like weight loss, and we have a lot of things. We have a lifestyle that's more sedentary than it used to be. We used to work a lot in the outdoors and things like this, and yet when you consider the fact that we have a life of, we have more, it's nicer, but the problem is without exercise, and of course there's houses, there's millions of houses with unused exercise equipment in their basement. It's hard to do that. So we need to look at how our culture, our society's changed, and perhaps we can develop some products to do that. Some of the toxic ingredients that store in fat cause you to actually take up more fat because they're also estrogenic, and these estrogen makes you want to store fat. And that's one reason that women get cellulitis. That fat is stored there for a baby. And so when that hormonal change comes, then you get built up in cellulite. So, but overall, people are getting very heavy. Now they're much heavier than we have 60% of America that's obese. It used to be about 20% obese. Now it's about 60% obese with that. And what is the difference? Well, the difference is the fats that's in the foods that we eat. They put fats in because they make our bodies, they like it. It's fat in some ways is good for you. If you want to take a look at children, the children, now I have a daughter that this is my good daughter, that is 13 and a half. And she's 5'10". She's 2 inches shorter than I am at 13 and a half. That is amazing. But yet you look at my sons, Tom Jr. or Derek or JJ, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". I made 6'2" before I started to shrink. And I was taller than my dad. He was taller than his father. My grandfather was taller than his father. So what's the progressive changes? Better nutrition, yeah, that's some of it. But the biggest thing is fat. Fat drives and accelerates growth. That's why I have children that eat so much fat-based foods in it. Now, maybe they're not getting heavy. If they're not doing anything, they do get heavy. So childhood obesity is at an all-time high. But if they are fairly active, then they just go up, 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 up. And that's what's happening. So as adults or children or wherever they are, we all want to be slim and trim as we can be, but it's not easy. And so with that, we've done some things in weight loss that's very good. We have a product, we're not going to talk about it today, but it's Sizzling. And Sizzling is a meal replacement. If you took it, it's such low calorie, and the nutrition in it is like no food on earth that you could ever buy. In fact, is we have a 2-time Mr. Universe winner that's all he uses for his muscle build out, because he gets such a good effect with it, stronger, hardened muscles with it. And so that's been the thing that most products have been sold or are in weight loss is in meal replacement. And yet you look along and they say, well, you need a lot of protein. Yeah, you do need protein, but a lot of these are based on soy products, and soy-based makes you store fat. Plus there's also a big health hazard from soy-based products. And so they're endocrine disruptors, estrogen mimics, all of that. And those things are making you store fat. And while you're taking it as a meal replacement to get calories down, the fat you've got, more of it is retained because it's trying to store it. So this is like a tennis match, back and forth, So what we've come out with, and some of you down in Australia have too, with this is we've sort of through selective osmosis, we have developed a product that isn't a scientific term, that's just a business term, but we have gone from one product to another to another. So what do people want? Well, I had a letter from a guy here, 3 or 4 months ago, and he was on social media, and he thanked me because he could tie his shoes again. And he said he hadn't been able to tie his shoes because he was like almost 400 pounds. He said, now I can tie my shoes. And he went down and lost over 200 pounds, 200, close to 250 on it. And we have a number of people who lost 100, 150 on those. So it can be done, but a lot of that takes discipline. But if you're going to take a product that's for weight loss, you need to have one that contributes really to it and doesn't contribute to weight gain. And many of the products in the market are that way. But what we have is an array of products now. We're looking at it from the bottom up rather than the top down. And so if you start off with a product like Super Detox, it's a great one to run with because you are what you eat. And you've heard that statement, but everything you ingest is not used and much of it is not excreted. And a lot of really fat soluble toxins accumulate as it goes out of the stomach and the small intestine. You have fingers that are there, like filter fingers, so that as the nutrients go through it and fluid, they absorb it. It's just like you've seen coral, how it's reaching out and they're grabbing nutrients. It's the same thing in there, because if you have a smooth distance, this distance is only this far. But if you had it populated with all these fingers, the distance up and down gives you a lot more absorption rate. Well, that's the way God built us, and it serves good purpose. But the problem is with the type of food that we have, you build up a thing called mucoidal plaque, and it's a black, tarry plaque. And what happens is it starts getting down in, depositing at the bottom, and then it starts building up. So your surface area is going away with that. Also, mucoidal plaque is very bad because it's especially harmful in storing toxic heavy metals. And as a consequence, you have a lot of health issues because of mucoidal plaque. In fact, I can tell you a personal note of which was reported, and I don't know why it came to that, but John Wayne, the famous movie actor, when he died, he had 65 pounds of mucoidal plaque in his body. 65 pounds. That's amazing with that. But all of us get that. We can't help it because while we wouldn't do anything to do it, it's going to do it to us because it's in our environment, it's in our food. So if you can remove the mucoidal plaque, then you see, you've got that sludge. Now you can absorb more nutrients. It comes off the surfaces, so they're much more effective. Your toxins go with it. And that's what Super Detox is all about. And I'll tell you what, it works. I only have one bit of advice. If you're taking Super Detox, don't take it and travel, or you might find yourself, you're quicker than you think you are. But it has the components that go down in, and it creates through enzyme activity and other factors that it breaks it down. Have you ever got a spot of food or grease or something on you, and you're in a restaurant and you took some water and a towel and tried to remove it and it won't take it? So put a little saliva on it, rub it for a minute, and then take the water, it comes right off. Enzymes work so quick. And so as a consequence, we build up the enzymes within the small intestine so that it can go in and attack and dissolve that mucoidal plaque, and then it starts flushing free. And you will know it. Flushing free is the right term, because when you flush, you're going to find out what was in you was not what you thought, and there's a lot of it, and it takes a while to get it down. But once you do, now less nutrition goes further for you, and you can keep it so you're healthier, you're absorbing more food. So now here we've got it down to where it's a clear slate. and we can go on building our other factors, which also all get inhibited by mucoidal plaque. But if it's not there, then if you're concerned about something for Alzheimer's or your eyes or heart or liver, or how about your brain, or how about living for 150 years, you get a lot more of those products through your system. So anyway, that's the reason behind Super Detox. The other is Balance D, and we've done quite an extensive talk on that because it's based with microorganisms. And it was really kind of funny, a company, and many of you know who it is, but they were saying how much superior their product was, their probiotic, than ours. You took a look at it, I mean, they had something like 25 million colonies, and we had like 650 billion colonies in a better probiotic than they had, and other ones that did what their probiotics can't do. There's a number of probiotics that are there. So we know what's there and to put back into your system to keep it running better. I'll not say perfect, but better. We're working on perfect on that because there's a lot of it. Probiotics isn't as exciting, but it certainly has a big effect on weight loss. Because what happens is, if you've ever been on antibiotics, what it does, the antibiotics kills organisms, right? Well, it kills your good bacteria, if that's the term you want to use for it, that's in your intestinal system too. And so after you've taken antibiotics, your digestive tract, which was in balance, now it's disproportionate, it's out of balance. You have more bad bacteria and less good bacteria, where it should be just the opposite. So what can you do about it? Well, it never self-corrects. It will stay that way for the rest of your life. So as you wonder why you're getting, oh, my digestion is so bad and all of these things that are happening, well, and it could be because of antibiotics, but all you'd have to do is just take one series of antibiotics and your body is actually out of balance for the rest of your life unless you do something about it. So that's what Balance D is about. It's putting a lot back into the system so that your system can work fine. You're not storing fats or toxins and nutrients. If you're watching what you eat, you get more nutrients in it, so you have a better feeling of being full. So that's what we have essentially with Balance D. Then we have a very odd product. It's Inner Chi. There's a version for him and a version for her. And it comes, maybe some of you have seen, especially where you're out in the Pacific, there's some Asian women or Polynesian women that even though they get old, they have incredible hair and skin and look much younger. You've all seen them. And about 5% of them produce an enzyme in their digestive system that is contributing to that. And so that ingredient is called Equal, E-Q-U-O-L. If you read it and look it up, you'll find some tremendous things about Equal. But what Equal does, it works for men, it works for women, because what it does is it takes and adjusts the hormonal balances within your body. And for women, it is really great for pre and postmenopausal. It is great for weight loss because it's keeping the estrogenic balance there instead of letting it get out of hand. Because of Equal, it's producing the ingredients that your skin can take and become nicer. Your hair can grow better with those types of things. And then when it comes to things like PMS, and it lowers everything down so the threshold of pain is less because you don't have such an out of balance system. It's in balance and it's easier to control, go through it. Well, and so that contributes to weight loss, but it also contributes to health and other things. And it's so as I looked at that and put it together, I looked at some compounds that would enhance it, and we have a compound besides Equal in there. It's called a lignin. This lignin makes Equal work better, and it has I have to say this properly, but it virtually could make you bulletproof to breast cancer. It's that good. So by taking this product, you have something that builds up and attaches to the receptors that are corroded, eroded, mutagenically damaged in the breast tissue. And it keeps that from happening because it's blocked with doing that. So that's in this product too. And I mean, that's just a byproduct of the science. It makes Equal work better and the other things. And we have some extracts from, as you can see, red clover and things like this that are all based to keep the feminine side in proper balance and supported. Now in men, you get some of these things, but the one thing that Equal does, well, it's working this for skin and hair. Yeah, it works for skin and hair in men too. But they isolated that from the stomach. They tried to figure out why these women were so young, and they finally found out it was Equal. They produce it. Well, Equal can be produced. It can be produced from some things, and I won't go through all that, but I do know how it's done. I do it. Diedsin is one of them that is done, and you'll see that in the product with it. Red clover is another one, and so we can react those together with Equal and make even more Equal with the system that's there, and we supplement it greatly. We're not just trying to make your system make it. We're doing that because that helps to keep you in balance better, but we're also firing it up by super amounts of it that are going through your system, because more is better with this kind of thing. Now for a man, it works kind of effective because, like I said, on women, it helps him a lot for weight because it corrects the estrogenic tendency to gain weight. With men, you see, it's affecting estrogen-like hormones, feminine hormones that are there. And actually, as a man gets older, that's one of the problems he has. He starts losing his hair. That's male pattern baldness. That's caused by a condition called dihydrotestosterone, okay? And it's where testosterone is complexed and it forms dihydrotestosterone, which is like estrogenic, and it will block the hair from growing, where testosterone stimulates hair to grow. With DHT, and there's a genetic condition that men have too. Male pattern baldness is an inherited genetic trait, which you get from your mother. And so if you lost your hair, blame mom. And so that's the way that it works. But what we can do is we have an ingredient that goes in there, and we can do, this is the man's energy. What we can do is we can break that DHT down. There's a mechanism for doing it through enzymes. We can do that and break that down. And then, or the body can do it. We're actually supplying supplements that are, we can't legally say that our ingredients do anything. We say they support the biological systems to do it. Say they can support it as nutrition, or they can be nutraceuticals of immense amount of power, but you have to do it because Big Pharma is salivating to kill off the dietary supplement industry, because they only get paid when you're sick. See, that's why the formulations they're making are to treat your symptoms, not the cure, because if they cure you, they lose a customer. So anyway, we've got that so it handles the DHT and takes it down. But the other thing that happens with DHT, and this also happens to a lesser degree, but a significant degree in women, is DHT is a major cause of heart attacks in men, and is a major one in women. And now for the first time in human history that we've known of, women heart attack rates exceed that of men. And yet, why? Well, women take better care of themselves, and because of that, they pay a tremendous price because of the contaminants that are in our environment, our food, water, the products we're putting on our skin. And so those things build up. But what we have is we come in and we take a look at what's the end product, what's trying to do. So if we can keep testosterone from converting to dihydrotestosterone, we know the way it's done. You take cholesterol, water, an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase, and put it with testosterone, and shazam, the body produces that, and it causes heart attacks. In men and women, it causes male, because they have double receptors, men do in their hair follicles, and it binds to them, bridges across them, and circulates it off. So we can break it down, and if we can keep it from forming, then we've really got something going for us. And that's what we've done with our Energy for him and her. The other bonus we put with Energy for him is many of these types of issues that men have, like enlarged prostate and urinary incontinence, women too, with this, are caused by a number of the estrogenic driven compounds again with that. But we found there's some compounds called beta cysterols, and those beta cysterols will stop that from happening. And those are things are what causes prostate enlargement. DHT causes prostate enlargement. So with the beta cysterols, it counteracts that, and you can have a reduction in the size of the prostate with it. So that's quite a product. And when you consider all that put together, better metabolism, all those things happening, man, it makes weight loss products work so much better to do it. So then we move on to the age pill. The age pill is, man, we know that, and I've said it for a long time. This is the single greatest discovery in the history of science. There's never been a discovery like this. It's the ingredient that's in it. We can't mention it because it was actually developed by an Australian, or discovered by an Australian. Well, it was discovered for that, but an Australian discovered how to take it and what it does within the cells, and he calls it the immortality molecule. And they have big universities with, and they're wanting to make a synthetic drug out of it and make a lot of money, but it occurs in nature. It's in every cell of your body. Without NAD, your cells could not survive. You would, if it was out of your system, you got about 30 seconds to live and you'd be gone. So it's so critical. But as we're young, we're producing lots of it. And then you get to 20, and think of this, you start getting older when you're 20. It's not you get out there at 30, 20, you're on the decline, going down. And so with that, this compound can come in, and stem cells that are little factories, and there's 220 types in your body, and they produce all the different components of your body. In fact, as the brain has 67 different types of stem cells in it because it's so complex. Of the 220, 67 of them are found in the brain. And so the vitality of your stem cells is critical, but they're really like an engine in your car. While they create the electrical energy, they produce the new replacement cells that are used for muscles, heart, liver, all of those things that are being lost because they wear out too. But stem cells are like the chicken that lays the eggs. And if you had a chicken coop full of chickens that never got old and they always laid lots of young eggs, or lots of eggs because they were always young, then you'd be pretty good. But what happens to the chicken coop? The egg production goes down with time. It's the same thing with our stem cells. Stem cells in a lifetime can make trillions of cells and out of a system with it. You got 40 trillion cells in your body right now. And so as a consequence, we have the age pill that comes along, and we attack NAD 5 different ways. And there's some companies have a single approach, a singularity approach. That's not the best answer. And the best answer is, of course, first is straight NAD, but you can only get that through a drip system because it gets destroyed and the stomach acids can't hold it up. And then you get, there's a lot of compounds around like NR, nicotinamide riboside, but that gets mostly destroyed in the gut, most of it with that kind of thing. Then you can have NMN, that's fairly good for getting through with it, but all of those NR, NMN are leading to NAD+. And the plus stands for hydrogen. So that hydrogen is the very hydrogen that comes down in sunlight that's in your cells of your body. And that through that cycle that is creating NAD, you create the energy of your body. So here's where a big thing comes in weight loss. You take a stem cell that's really duplicating, and with age, it starts slowing down, you see. Then it can't get rid of the toxins, the waste build up, cellular garbage builds up. You get, just like you get plaque on your teeth from burning, from bacteria feeding on sugars, glucose, Same thing happens to your cell. The glucose that is oxidized to release the energy, same principle as a gasoline engine, spark, gasoline, oxygen, increases the, or creates the energy. So with that, what we're able to do is take it and we take those cells that are there, and the first thing, they get plaqued like your teeth. So how do you deplaque your teeth? Well, you do it with toothpaste and a toothbrush and things like that. And if you're very smart, you use ours because the anthium dioxide, stabilized chlorine dioxide that's in ours is so safe. It's approved for potable water, but it will keep the bond, it'll break the bonds that cause plaque down. But within the stem cell itself, that are producing all the other cells, they duplicate so much, and they're supposed to be there for your lifetime, and they get quite plaqued up. Glycated is what they call it. And it's like a sticky molasses. And the older you get, the more of it is. And then it starts to caramelize and harden. And so here's the point that I'm making on it. What happens to that for weight loss? What you have is your metabolism is not where it should be. That's why your energy, you don't feel as you did when you were younger with that. It's less NAD to start with. So, but to make NAD work good, we've got to get rid of that. You don't have to. We have companies that are selling a few competitive products and they don't even address it. We're the only one that does. And, but we clean it up. We scour it out. There's enzymes that will break it down. The stem cell itself has its own internal mechanism to remove plaque. It's just it gets overpowered as it's wearing out. And so we have compounds that come in and suddenly it just supercharges it so you can clean up that plaque. Then the other thing that happens is a stem cell has to make a new stem cell. And when that does, telomeres, which are only in stem cells, they string out and form the weave that you can, they can make the DNA for the replacement cell, and then they detach. But that new cell, all the nutrients had to come up through the stem cell, structure it, and then it goes away and separates. And so you get a lot of internal nutrients that get used, and the ones that are byproducts or waste of that are discarded, but not all of them. There's a fatty molecule called lipofuscin, and it is insoluble in water, and the cytoplasm of your cell is mostly water. So if you start building up and you have, think of it like this drain in your sink. You can set your drain so it shuts off everything, or you can slightly open it and water will drain down out of it. Well, that's what happens with your pores in the stem cells, is they start getting plugged up with lipofuscin because molecules keep sticking together. Now, when that happens, then you build a big sludge, internal cellular garbage, and that's inhibiting your metabolism. So that's step 2. Let's get rid of the lipofuscin. Now we know what to do it, and we're doing it powerfully with this. So we remove the glycation, the plaque, we remove the cellular sludge, and then where do we go? We go to 5 different ways to create NAD with it. And we're doing some revolutionary things. Some of them are so new, and I don't want to announce it for a couple of months. But I'll tell you what, if you got a gourd, this will shock your gourd for you, because it is that powerful of technology that we are doing in the age field. I've changed the formulation 4 times. The next one is going to be like you've been jumping over a ditch and suddenly you're trying to jump over the Grand Canyon. That leap is going to be that far because of the things that science has discovered that I am finding and bringing out, where other companies see it in research. Research scientists like to do it. They get grants from universities and hospitals and big pharma so they can make synthetic molecules. That's all they care about. But you can't patent a natural ingredient, so they have to find a pharmaceutical. That's why it takes 15 years of just process time to get a pharmaceutical through, and it has to be researched for probably 5 or 10 years as a natural ingredient to do that. Well, we find that science and we take it in. So now, as we can increase NAD levels, here's what happens. Hydrogen comes in to the body, and as it starts going through the cell, It's in carbohydrates is hydrogen. Sunlight, and nothing can live on Earth without the sun, and that's all hydrogen coming down. Hydrogen is so powerful that it created 85% of the universe. They estimate. That doesn't mean the universe is 85% hydrogen, because it's formed actually from great pressures and heat and cold. It's formed structures like gold and silver and carbon and a lot of different things that are the fundamental elements out of, but most of them are caused from hydrogen. So it has an immense amount of power. But in our cell, we are a electrical entity. And so we run on electricity. So what happens is that hydrogen that your cells are normally producing, it starts going down because the NAD is going down. And you can think of it like if you were in track and field and they ran a race, it was a baton. They'd have 4 people. Somebody would take off from the start with a baton, run as hard as they could, get a fourth of the way there, they'd pass off the baton to another one. They would run as hard as they could for the next quarter part of it, and then they'd pass off the baton, and then run around to the final, and then they'd pass off the baton. That kind of process is exactly what's happening with hydrogen all along the way. And when it gets to the place of where you make NAD, you'll notice it's NAD plus, and that plus is hydrogen. So when NAD is corrected, hydrogen will attach to it if you got it there. Now from there, you're almost home, because NAD is, man, it's an anti-mutagenic agent. It has immense amounts of power for all kinds of reparative support for all kinds of the body, for vision, for hearing, for brain, all of that. But it goes in that stage, and you need to run on electrical energy, because all of your cells within your body are interconnected in at least 3 networks. They used to think it was 1. Now they found a second, and they found a third, and they're saying how they work. Well, now a few people know how it works. And what we do know is that every single cell in your body, all 40 trillion of them, are in contact with every other cell in your body in 3 different systems. And your brain's doing massive amounts of calculations. 60,000 calculations are going on in your brain right now. Now maybe 15 or 20 in Leisel, but the rest of us, we've got about 60,000 of those reactions going on. And as a consequence, that's all based on electricity. So here comes the NAD plus with the baton, and it hands it off to the mitochondria. Those are the little energy engines in the cell. And that, when it's handed off, they hand off the hydrogen. And out of that, it creates something called ATP, which is the energy molecule of the body. And people said for a long time, take ATP supplements. The problem is it just gets broken down so much in the stomach, very little gets through. But here you can produce it yourself if you got enough NAD and NAD plus. So when it passes off that electron, then it makes ATP makes the compounds, and they in turn now release what they call biological hydrogen. And biological hydrogen, man, it has it. You got to see what I'm doing on Facebook now, and go into my MeWe.com website to look at that too, because they didn't know much about hydrogen 3 years ago. Now we're learning an immense amount of things, and I'm posting a lot of studies on that. But anyway, the hydrogen that comes from the ATP now, which came from the NAD, which came from the food source, which came from the sun, now it's converted back to just pure hydrogen. And from that point, it creates electrical energy, and that runs you. So if you're not making much AD, you're not getting much energy. If you're not getting much energy, you're not burning much fat. You're not building new tissues. And this is where the age pill comes in. And we have lots of people that couldn't lose weight. Since they've been on this, they have really had some significant weight loss. I did. I dropped 20 pounds, and I thought I couldn't get down any lower just with the age pill coming on. And so that makes it a big factor. And then there's all other kinds of things that are there. There's 7 Nobel prize winners that are all scientists that are all endorsing this compound, but there's none. Maybe there is partial, but I've never seen it. But there's none that cleans up the glycation, gets rid of the lipofuscin, and then has 5 separate channels. And we have the most powerful channel that others are not using, that creates more NAD and gets through the digestive system in our H pill. So you can see how important that is. Now you're talking about things like vision improving, hair color coming back, skin improving, all of those things that are happening to do. I'll give you one little hint. We'll solve it in our next reformulation. But when you create NAD and it's converted to electrical energy in the ATP, it requires a process called methylation. And that methylation comes from what they call a methyl donor. Now, they come from the food that we eat. And so if you eat dark green vegetables, things like avocados or asparagus or spinach or broccoli, things like that, they're very high in methyl donors. The body will store them. But if you're not, then NAD is going to demand it, or ATP is going to do it, and NAD is important. So it demands that methyl. If it's not there, you can't convert it into energy. So you can buy a supplement very inexpensively off the internet, and it's methylfolate. Okay, so methylfolate. And if you have any questions about it, there's a few other types of methyl you can use too. There's methylcobalamin. That's a type of B12. Don't buy the cyanocobalamin, buy the methylcobalamin. They put methyl donors out so the NAD can convert more energy. That more energy means more healthy tissue, fat burning, weight loss, all of those things. So that's how it correlates within it. So since we've been talking about hydrogen, I'll flip to the end of, we got a page that I'm here following. Sizzle, the H2 stick is at the end of it. But I'll talk about it right now because it's such an integral part of the cells. In fact, as you can put H2 drops in your ears after you make the water, and I have it right here on my desk, I make it here and at home, but you put drops in your ears and it will improve your hearing or prevent you from ever losing your hearing. And you don't have to leave it for very long because now we have a new thing that's happened with our H2 stick. Maybe some of you have seen it, but I've only announced it for a couple of days. But it was because of an Australian who asked a question. I forget who it was, but Biltoff, is that how you say the name? But anyway, she asked about that, and I said we made a major change in it. So I posted it, and boy, it's getting really a lot of interest. And what we've done is we've taken the formulation and moved into a raw elemental form of magnesium, which reacts with acids in water to split the hydrogen oxygen molecule and to pair hydrogen together. Now it takes a process, and we say wait 5 to 15 minutes. Now, by changing to elemental, we have some magnesium complexes because we want a big variety around it. But now, because we've done that, we can produce huge amounts of hydrogen in 2 or 3 minutes. So that's a big improvement for you. Now you put it in a couple of minutes, you just turn it around a few times, there it is, ready to drink. Even if you see bubbles still coming up with it, drink it because it's all going to go in there. I'm working with the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, and they did some calculations for me on it. And the machines put out 0.5 ppm of hydrogen to 1.5. And that's a very healthy range to do it, but more is better. And so there's been some tablets that have been developed with it, but they have trouble handling magnesium. And it's just kind of like compounders rather than scientists. So they have a pill that you can put in the water. It's a slow time dissolving. And it puts out, they claim in theory it can make 6, but everything we tested was from 3.2 to 3.6. And so it's higher than the other, but it is expensive as heck to use those. It'll cost you $1, maybe even $2 for a bottle of water to use them in. And it takes quite a long time. You can see it sitting there and just slowly bubbling off. with the powder form, which we have. And so we have a half a dozen types of magnesium. The big spurge that we put in is this new elemental magnesium that is 99.7% pure. That's the other thing to do. And that's also another reason that companies don't try and use a magnesium product. They try to make a magnesium complex with an amino acid or carbohydrate or something, but they don't use the elemental because it's too expensive in that form. And so they buy a lesser form, and guess what forms readily with magnesium? Lead. And so it can have a lot of lead it puts in your system, so they keep away. In fact, there are places like in California here, if lead content in anything exceeds a certain level, you can't sell it there. And lead's getting to be a really big issue. So they don't do it. Well, okay, so how do you get around it? Well, we buy the elemental magnesium and we make the product with it. So we have extremely fast release, no lead, huge amounts of hydrogen. And now on our tests that we're looking at, in theory, and we actually are limited by our instrumentation, but it's calculated with the Molecular Hydrogen Institute giving us the parameters for it to go over 20 ppm. Now compare that with a machine around 1. That's 20 times more than it. Compared to a tablet that might be around 3 or so, you're talking about 7 or 8 times more. We're limited because we do titration on it, so it takes more elaborate equipment to test it. We can test it up to 15 that goes off the chart. Then we get it so diluted down that you can't be accurate, but that's the kind you want. So more is better. We'll give you a super shot of it. You're not going to sprinkle something lightly over the crops. You're going to flood irrigate it with this hydrogen. And since hydrogen is the world's smallest molecule, it goes anywhere. Nothing can contain it, including lead, as dense as it is, because the size, it will weave through it. So if you take it, and if you wait for 2-3 minutes and take it, it will be in every cell in your body in about 2 minutes, every one. And it'll last for a few hours. While it is there, it's the most powerful antioxidant of an individual type that's in nature, but it is hydrogen. And when that hydrogen is there, guess what? NAD is coming along and it passes the baton off to make ATP, and now it's going to be discarded. But if you've got hydrogen, we believe, this is our theory, that it will attach back to it, and NAD will cycle again. Instead of cycling, going, and more has to come, more will be coming, but we can cycle that which is already going. Now, this is pretty complex science, as you can see, and I'm here without any notes. I'm just, I understand it. So when I tell you about this kind of things, you can listen to the thing a number of times, but this is the basic principles that no one else is even coming close in the approaches to doing these types of things. So now we have that. So now we can recharge the hydrogen energy that is just to the point of being released as biological hydrogen, which creates electrical energy, and we can do it like nothing else. And so what do you do with all that energy? You burn fat, you build more tissue, become more healthy, all of those things. And now they're finding that hydrogen is such a powerful molecule for many things in the body, including things like Alzheimer's, has a profound effect on that. And that's only one graphic example with it. But also on, now I better not go there and tell you, because I don't want to get off onto some areas that are so strictly regulated, but these products are safe. And there's no overdose on hydrogen. You can't take too much with it. So now we've got a powerful one, and all that energy is going to create nutrition in cells. So what is that going to take? That's going to take fat to burn, isn't it? So as a consequence, your weight loss will go down with it. So then to go and complement with that, we have Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice is a whole different approach, and what it's designed to do is to increase metabolic activity. And it also has compounds in it that makes insulin receptors more receptive. And that's so important because as you get older, the insulin receptors gets they kind of wear down and they get dumbed up and they're not so receptive. So they don't take the fat in, they leave it in the blood and it gets stored somewhere, but the cells aren't taking it because there's the thing called myostatin, and it starts to, when you're young, you're 80% open. When you're old, it's 20% open and 80% closed. So with that, we have a formulation that works on that to support tremendous increases in myostatin. So your insulin receptors suddenly become very active, and the myostatin inhibitor that they do allows the body tissue cells to expand and take in more nutrients rather than be so narrow and a lot can't get in, if that's an easy way of you understand it. So then you have a lot of thermogenic fat burning, and that is so critical in what we're doing. It also has a compound in there, which if I can just backstep for a second, along with energy for her, it has a ingredient in there that will create brown fat to burn. Now, maybe some of you don't know, you have white fat and you have brown fat. Brown fat's a dangerous one because it's around all your organs, it's in the inside, but you can't burn white fat without some brown fat being released. And so if your body out of balance and a lot of brown fat and low metabolic activity, then you see how we suddenly put all that back, and we are able to support the natural systems to release more brown fat so that more white fat can be burned. So that's how that works. The last one that we're going to talk about is Sizzle Rip. Sizzle Rip is quite an interesting product. Developed some researchers here in the United States. We're the first ones that found out the research and got on it. And what they did is they were doing it for athletics and to maximize performance. And they found out a group of essential amino acids, BCAAs they call them, and there's different categories of that. If you take the specific ones of these BCAAs, then what they'll do is it will take, and if you have them in, there's about 20 of them. And if you have them in the right balances and the right types that are together, when it goes in, it has a significant improvement on energy creation and muscle and tissue building. And so you can use it for pre or a post workout, if you will. And with that, you have this tremendous increase in metabolism to make you healthier. And animal studies shows that they've been able to build muscle without exercise. Now, not the kind of muscle weightlifters have, but you know, it can do all that. And if you got a few of these other things going, you're really in good shape. I have one other little tip for you. I'll just throw in on it. If you're looking for a workout product, real simple. The proteins that you need and the other compounds in specific heavy doses are all found in Sizzle. But if you take Sizzle Rip, it can be a pre or a post supplement for it. It speeds up growth. It slows down, or it shortens recovery time. It allows you to work for a higher level of energy for a longer period of time. And then here comes back in hydrogen again. And hydrogen will neutralize or keep lactic acid from forming. And lactic acid is what gives you the pain in muscles and the soreness and stiffness that you get. So that combination between, here we are back at hydrogen from the Sizzle H2 stick and the Sizzle Rip can create an awfully lot of activity positive. And now they've been testing it, and in particular, they've been doing it on horses to see thoroughbred horses. And of course, they drink a lot of water, and they've been putting lots of hydrogen in the water, and they find out, man, their performance, their endurance, their recovery, their speed, their ability to jump is greatly improved. Now studies, I just published some today about athletes and what they're doing, and they figure they can, you have a maximum level, it's a VO2 max is what they call it, and if you have that type of supplement, you can increase it by 20%. Not only can you increase it by 20%, you can keep that up, and when it falls off, you can go 50% further than that. And then in recovery time, it speeds it up so fast that your recovery time is 6 times shorter. That sounds something like you want? So that's kind of combination. The last thing I'm going to tell you, which is unrelated to it, but if you really want to do it best, if you're in fitness, take Fora Restore, because Fora Restore has the endocrine system precursors that supply the hormones for your body to keep in balance, which gets so out of whack. But on top of that, it creates nitric oxide, which is what is really a muscle tissue builder. And it's also extremely good for your blood vessels, because they get brittle and they collapse down and they start plaquing up. But now with this, it will start opening them. So will the H pill. Start opening them, start supporting the system to remove the plaque that's building up, and the flexibility will come back. And you can see people that have had high blood pressure, because they got a certain amount of blood pressure, and the veins or the arteries have collapsed. So blood pressure builds up. But if you can get them to dilate, then blood pressure goes down. And also with all of these things, the fats and the things that are in your system, cholesterol, you build HDL cholesterol, which is good, and you greatly reduce the LDL cholesterol. That's a lot to be said. Now you've seen how fast I've talked, a fraction of Leisel's speaking rate, but still, as fast as I've talked on this thing, I can tell you there's a lot more to it than just this. So, but because of you and Leisel, she's heard what you're doing and building in business and things like that. So we put this together to tailor it for it. And I can promise you that this is extremely effective. This will actually should beat ketonics with it. But towards the end of the year, maybe the end of the year, maybe earlier, I'm going to I'm having to have it created. It's been discovered but never been made. And we'll have another formulation that we're going to throw into one of these that will burn brown fat like crazy. I mean, really, really burn it. So that's coming, but there's no supply. So I have to contract with someone that has the technical laboratories and manufacturing to do that. That is in the process of being done, so it takes a while. So just because we have the best product or the best system in the world, for me, I'm never satisfied. It's just the stage that we have that's state of the art, and I immediately am finding other things, if I can, looking at other things to make it much better. So you're going to see a great deal of change. And here at Doc Fizz is coming down. Now, Doc Fizz has invited anyone to come out to his meetings, know where we're at. I would suggest you do, because while Doc Fizz is not so impressive to look at, he really has got a lot of knowledge. And I have been helping him to make a presentation, and it is going to be a blow your socks off presentation, and going into the world of putting you on the road to immortality with that. And that sounds pretty, I mean, how ostentatious is that? Well, the reality is, yeah, there are things that are in this earth that are immortal. In the sea, they have some creatures that are over 1.5 billion years old. Not the species. The individual was born or created 1.5 billion years ago, and it's still around there. It doesn't die. And there's 3 or 4 little jellyfish is one of them. But I won't go through all of that because that's coming. But in doing it, this is so dynamic, and it will work so well with weight loss and business building. It'll be like crazy. We're going to show you what's happening and how we've got the solution for you in products, compensation plan, and business building. So if you get to Doc Fizz's meeting, I would strongly advise you to do, because I've unloaded the information on him that I haven't to anyone else, because I got to keep it as confidential as possible. And he's like goulash. He didn't realize there was this much stuff that could all be done in what we're doing, but we're not making it more complex. We're building products, making them more complex, but still the same product that you have. So that's what we're doing.
Dad, will you hold up that PDF of what we made and show them? Just put that up. So this is our Wealth Builder Pack. That's what your PDF is going to look like. Right now on the back, there's nothing there, but we have finished the schedule, and that's available. This is awesome. He's so weird. But The schedule will literally just tell you every morning, this is what you take, this is what time you take it, for the best results for each of those products in this regimen. It will be available, like I said, right after this call. Now, we talked about a video, and I was so excited because while this call was going on, I got a message that it was finished. So we're going to try and play it right now, and they're not sure it's going to play. So we'll try once, and if it doesn't, then we'll just move on with it, and I'll put it on Facebook after this so you can grab it. But let's try and see if we can get the video going right now, medium. And maybe while she's doing that, as she tries, if it starts, I'll stop. But while she's doing that, so let me talk about the Wealth Builder. We've got, oh, maybe here we go. Good.
That's not Leisel. She fell off the cliff.
Yes. Exciting. That was awesome, except for the commentary. But yes, it was awesome. Love that video. And that will be available. Just kind of a little promo type. Here's what we've got. This is our system, each product there. And then again, we'll have the PDF with the instructions and that on the back. Let me go through them. That was exciting. I love that. Super Detox, Balance D, Energy for her or him. So when you place this order, make sure you specify 2 bottles of H-Pill in this pack, Fire and Ice, H2, and Ripped. So that is normally 524 New Zealand dollars, and you get that for $356. $356. It will be available on Monday. You'll be able to place an order for this new Wealth Builder. And again, we've got the promo on the weight loss products. So if you're not a new distributor, make sure you use that. I understand that we hadn't had Australia. They thought this was our weight loss pack. So I'll make sure that that's available in your back office. They're already working on that right now. But super, super exciting. And as you can see, Tom Sr., he just does a great job. So we've got a lot of fun things planned for you guys this year. We're super excited about some of the products coming out. Tours, we've got actually 3 tours planned for Australia. Some fun things that we'll be announcing in a little bit. So 2020 is our year. This last year, we did a lot of hard work to truly stabilize Australia. You know, there's been a lot of changes and just a lot of things that have been shifting for our distributors, but we all got together. Everybody's worked hard. Like I can say, please thank your council members. They have an extra call on weekends and they can run for a couple hours. They do a lot of hard work. We have lists, everybody takes jobs and they listen to you guys, and then we come back and we'll get on that again. Our call is tomorrow, but they do deserve some appreciation from you guys, as they really do put in the time to get some stuff done that you guys talk to them about and that you guys want. And we really do listen to the field. So, but we're excited for this year. I really feel like we've got most of the kinks out. I think you guys will be shocked with some of the announcements we've got coming up. Big announcements for all of Sizzle and for some just Australia too. And with that, Dad, I'm going to let you leave because it's the year 2020 And we just appreciate you guys. Love you coming to our calls. We have almost 60 people on this call, and we enjoy working with you. We love Australia. Definitely thinking about you during this time. Dad has definitely been affected by looking at all the animal and wildlife lost in there, and has made sure that he has given to some charities there to help Australia. That's something close to our hearts, as we love animals and wildlife. So,
and we're going to do something more significant too, a company-wide on it. So we're putting that together now.
Yeah. So I'll let you take this, Dad, and just kind of talk about this year and briefly what we're excited and we're here to support him.
Okay. Well, it's sort of in conclusion. The greatest product that Sizzle has is a business opportunity. And if you get too far, I mean, certainly you can see I'm a product person. Products are just one aspect of it. The other aspect is the compensation plan. The other aspect is the network marketing, the organization, the leadership. And the next part is the company with everything that it can do to supply it and do it. That's all part of our business opportunity. 85% of this, and listen to this, because a lot of you get too heavy in products. You need to be more heavy in business opportunity, because 85% of the people that get in network marketing get in it to make money. Only 10% get in it for a product. Oh yes, the product is a driver, because people can recognize this is an exciting product. I can recruit a lot of people. I can build a lot of business and have a lot of income off a lot of people using a lot of products, see? And that's the way that this business works. So your efforts, and we're going to have a campaign we're going to start. We're going to say, this is the year to build your fortune. You want to be making thousands of dollars a month? We can tell you how to do it. The way to do it is get 20 new distributors, not new, but the distributors that are new, that are developed into good distributors. And so the ones that won't do it, discard them, keep it in. Get 20 people into your organization and do it in 90 days. It's for the year, but if you have 20 for the year, you do it in 90 days, you will see such a stunning amount of income that comes in. And with this new program that we have for 2020, we're going to give it to you in a video that is going to be so powerful with this that you can go out and build your business. And nothing happens until a product's sold, okay? But this product is not the whole sell. The selling of it is. In fact, you're our advertising. We don't have any medium to do it except you. So developing you to be more skilled and helping people to make more money and to consume more products, to be more healthy, so you can be happier, healthier, and wealthier. That's what we're going to be doing. So those are the new things that are coming out. Doc's going to come in and show you quite a bit of that, and we'll have this blowout video by in first part of February. And this is, we're in momentum. We're really in momentum now. The excitement is just electrifying here in the United States, Japan, and you've really been growing in Australia, but, and of course, with understanding the fires and everything, but you can now set the world on fire. And you can make this thing go, because what we have done has never been done before. We are the Trekkies of MLM. We are going where no one has gone before. We're doing things that no one has ever done before. That's our way that we operate within this business. We want to give you the most dynamic, spectacular products, not that beats competition, but that is possible to be built. We want to pay you the highest amount in commissions and earning, so that your time that you spend to recruit, train, and develop your distributor force is disproportionately higher rewarded. And that's what we're doing with what it is. So come back to square one. This is a business. This is a network marketing business. Products are a very important part of it. But if you concentrate more on the products than you do on the business opportunity, you're going to be on the slow track. You're doing the business opportunity and do enough with the products, you'll be on the fast track. And get 20 in your line that's solid, that serves new ones that are there for this year. And by the end of the year, you could be making many, many thousands of dollars a month, and some perhaps even tens of thousands. So that's the kind of thing we have going. So I'll turn time back to you, Leisel.
Awesome, thank you. Well, with that, guys, we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Our next country call will be on the 25th of January, where we'll have Tom back with some more product training. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Leisel. Thanks, Leisel. Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.